Life on the USS Lexington. It's exciting and dangerous, yet often routine. The Lady Lex, as she's called by her crew, is a temporary home for up to 1,500 men and women. This former battleship began its years of service in the fierce Pacific offensive of World War II. Today, the aging warrior bears no weapons, but serves as the Navy's only training carrier. Captain Feran, the Lexington's commanding officer, closely supervises the daily training exercises because these men must be prepared.
And this is the platform that we teach those youngsters that you've been reading about, that have been taking part in the Libyan incident, taken part in the capture of the hijackers on the Egyptian airliner. They learned their first catapult shot and their first carrier landing right here on board Lexington.
This is Chestnut, who grew up in Cleveland, Tennessee. Charlie directs traffic on the flight deck, where even a small slip can mean expensive equipment damage or serious personal injury. Does he think about the dangers?
All the time, all the time. There's always something that's going to happen. Somebody's going to get hurt. If somebody's not watching what's going on, if you're not thinking about what you're doing, somebody's going to get hurt. Maybe not you, somebody else, so it's always a chance.
But not everyone on board has to deal with constant pressure. Danny Moss, a Howard High grad, works as an accountant in one of the ship's many offices. His pressures are of a different sort.
Especially right about now, ending the physical year, we got to balance out all the money that Congress gave us.
But flying is the heartbeat of the Lady Lex, and tomorrow we'll take a closer look. Helen, Hardin, Newscenter 12. It's a controlled crash. 30,000 pounds of computerized metal slamming into the runway and stopping in 300 feet. Veteran pilot Eddie Smith, who flies one of the Navy's attack jets, says carrier flying is better than any amusement park ride ever built.
It's the best flying you can ever do. It's the best flying in the world.
The ship's steam-powered catapult launches these jets from a complete standstill to 140 miles per hour in less than 3 seconds. Then comes the tough part, getting down.
You come in, you see the boat the whole time, you're circling overhead, and it's pretty small from up there, but once you get down and behind the back of the boat, it starts to get a lot bigger. And once you see the meatball and your center line, just like back at the field, you just got to trust your instruments and trust your controllers, the guys talking you down. They do a great job.
In Navy lingo, this is called a trap, hooking on to the arresting wire. But if the cable should break, crewmen running to the plane could be injured, and the jet could bolt off the end of the deck. Navy pilots say these days the public seems to be more aware of the dangers they face.
The movie Top Gun has given the Navy an enormous amount of free publicity. Recruiting has skyrocketed, and the Navy pilots are enjoying the attention.
Good PR, really good PR. It's letting people know we're not just machines up there, we're actually people too, I think. You know, it brings over the people side of the business.
Tomorrow we'll go below the flight deck and find out how crewmen deal with life at sea. Helen, Hardin, Newscenter 12. Life is in many ways normal for the hundreds of crewmen on board. They attend church services, they work a variety of jobs, and after a very long work day, they relax.
They keep the hangar bay open where you can play basketball or sports, work out in weights. Myself, I read a lot, keeps my mind working, and keeps me out of trouble or anything else.
We have a very good television station on all our ships. We get to show the first-run movies, first-run television shows. We try to get the sports out to the fleet as quick as we can.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the WLEX Evening News. I'm Petty Officer Dave Marr.
Yes, the Lexington has its own evening newscast, with sports and weather included. This ship is like a small town, in the middle of the ocean, of course. You can visit the dentist or get a haircut, grab a candy bar, or buy a stamp. And if you run out of the small necessities of life, no problem.
In the Lady Lex clothing store, you can buy all kinds of handy items. Underwear, sweatshirt, and even a sailor cap.
But enough of the daily routine. Tomorrow we'll see how well women survive in this man's world, and we'll find out why the drug problem is actually no problem on the Lexington. Helen, Hardin, Newscenter 12. While controversy over drug testing rages here at home, out in the Gulf of Mexico, there is no question. Urinalysis is a fact of life for the entire crew of the Lexington, and that includes the captain.
You can see from this operation that we certainly could not have any dope heads or druggies aboard this ship. You can't be a fuzzy-headed alcoholic or druggie and operate the massive equipment and do the type of job we do on this ship.
Captain Feran, who recently took the test, so to speak, says the program has been very successful.
Of course, our urinalysis sweeps, we do find people that do take drugs. If they're motivated people, we'll try to rehab them. We'll try once, and that's it.
Until 6 years ago, there were no women aboard the Lexington, and it remains the only aircraft carrier allowing a female crew. Some 175 women serve Uncle Sam here.
They're smart, they're hard workers, and they're goal-oriented, and I'm sure glad we've got all of those hard-working young gals we do have on board Lexington.
Lieutenant Jan Weiss joined the Navy to see the world, but because women are excluded from any possible combat role, she's never been outside the U.S.
I've never had any real problem. I've always thought of myself as an equal, and I'd say 99.9% of the time I've been treated as an equal.
But will there be a bigger military role for women in the future?
Well, there's always hope.
Looks to me like it's the wave of the future.
Tomorrow, a closer look at today's Navy and some facts that may surprise you. Helen, Hardin, News Center 12.
The Navy is attracting, I think, the best recruits that we've ever had.
Today's Navy is better educated and more goal-oriented than ever before. But it's amazing to realize that the strength of our country's defense still relies largely on our youth.
Almost 80% of the crew is under 20 years of age. It's run by teenagers. The Navy of the United States is vastly teenage in operation.
Lieutenant Commander Charles Melvin, the Lexington senior chaplain who once pastored a Tennessee congregation, averages 60 counseling sessions a week, primarily with the young enlisted.
Many of those teenagers are still struggling with adolescent problems, trying to decide what they want to do with their lives, you know. They're disillusioned about things. They're frustrated about the lack of instantaneous results. So consequently, maturity is a problem.
While dealing with the normal problems of becoming adults, these enlisted men and women still must handle the daily pressures of very dangerous jobs. Life on this aircraft carrier may seem exciting to you and me, but the work can be very demanding for those who call this giant ship home. So how can the Navy continue to attract quality recruits?
Make no mistake, they're not dumb. You're not going to be able to get these people if you don't pay them properly and if you don't give them the benefits that they deserve. You get what you pay for. I think everybody out there knows that. And we need good, motivated, patriotic young people, but we have to expect to give them a fair living and a fair wage.
From the USS Lexington, Helen, Hardin, News Center 12.